Hi everyone. Tonight we are adding labels, notes, annotations, just information to our wireframes. And hopefully you've got a home page for your Snap Kitchen that looks similar to what you see on the screen. And pretty boring, pretty simple. Really don't know what's going on. And so that's our whole point of adding labels, notes, and annotations to our wireframes so we can explain to the client what we're thinking with the layout, the user experience, what's going to happen when we click on certain areas of the home page. So for example, if I were to click in the nav bar, what happens? I join our mailing list, view our menu. We have no clue unless we have some words. And this area off to the right on your template, and you can use the bottom if you need, is there to help you communicate that in words. So your client says, that sounds good, go to the next step, start looking at imagery, get a photographer, download great imagery, start some type, etc., etc. So this is the home page, and I'm going to be showing you some examples, but you're going to be adding annotations to your home page and two other pages. Again, everything's on your assignment sheet, but let me show you some other examples and we'll take it from there. So here is a current image of the Snap Kitchen homepage. You can see it's changed since our comp, but essentially similar placement, similar hero size, 100% tasty, healthy, 0% cooking, all in the same place. But the issue is we want to explain on our wireframe what is going to happen. So for example, if we click on the menu nav bar, obviously it goes to our menu. How do you explain that in words on your home page? Then when you get to the menu wireframe and you select, well, let's select our coconut curry beef. What happens in as few words as possible? How can you communicate what happens to the screen? How does it change? What does it change to? All right, and that's where we're going with this assignment this week. You're going to be creating the wireframe for your third item page. We'll call this the item page. And then you're going to be adding your labels, gestures, annotations, explaining what happens when you click on different items. So let's go back to the Snap Kitchen homepage for just a second and let's click on Learn More. Well, you need to explain when a customer, a viewer, clicks on certain areas, what happens without having to complete all this additional information. Join our mailing list. What happens? All right, so that's what that labels and gestures is all about. And it seems really kind of somewhat boring, but very important for you to get to the next step on fulfilling your client's desires for a website. So let's just look at a few other examples of people that have made notes, annotations to their wireframes. I wanted to start with this one in particular because, as you see, you've got drawings of several pages of their website, and off to the right, similar to the area that you have on your template, the notes, number 1, explains what the favorite contacts is all about. Number 2, it talks about what happens, and so on and so forth. And so you see, very simply, just using these little teardrop shapes, and you can use whatever you want as long as you're consistent to explain what's going on. Let's take a look at another example. University of Reading. Now this wireframe obviously is a little bit more complete. They've added some imagery, they've added some type, actually getting to what the content is, but still need a little explanation in the notes as to what happens in each one of the areas. It's very important. Gesture, they've added the image here, but you might want to add a gesture, a video icon here. and that's the important icons, and we'll get to that as well. But here you go. This is your annotations. Be very careful with your spelling. Be very careful with your grammar. Make sure you're not too wordy, and as condensed as possible. All right, here's another one, obviously in a different language, but still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Very clear on what is happening in the different areas. And even though our wireframe is using Illustrator, there's no reason why in the future, if you've done a hand-drawn mock-up, you can't add handwriting notes and navigational elements to the right. Again, whatever you need to do to communicate. Now here's one that's a lot more complex, a lot going on here, and as you can see, it's very important to communicate exactly what's going on. Otherwise, it can be very, very confusing. You've got your home page. You've got a secondary page. And you have a third page, and essentially yours is much more simple. Your 3 wireframes that you're adding annotations and gestures to, so hopefully you will make it as complete as possible. You can research your Google wireframe annotations to see different styles. Here's some different ones. Again, I'm just asking you to keep the information down the right-hand side. Lots of resources for different little icons if you wanted to add those. This is just one example. Arrows, wireframe kit. These will come into play a little bit more when we get into our mobile device, the scrolling, the increasing in size, etc., the scale up, scale down. But know that these are available to you. So going back to your wireframe, for example, your home page, I would definitely add a layer, possibly a layer for labels, notes, annotations, maybe a layer for gestures, and obviously keep those on those specific layers. So off to the side here, let's say if we were looking at labels and notes, we simply would want to make a heading, and I'm going to call mine simply notes. Obviously needs to be quite a bit bigger, so character, why don't we make it at least 18 point, and start to put notes, 1, 2, however you want to label it. What happens again when you hit the nav bar? What happens when you hit join our mailing list, view our menu? Be very, very concise in what happens. Again, watch your grammar, watch your spelling. And this is what I'm going to be looking for your assignment for this week. Adding your notes, annotations to your 3 wireframes. Follow the direction sheet, the assignment sheet, and have a handout for you as well as the assigned reading. But there you go. That's what you'll be doing this week, and kind of tidy things up. We're moving fast forward. In 2 weeks, you'll be working on a new website.